Good morning and welcome everyone to episode, I think it's 28, of Mortgage News Live, coming to you from leafy Hertfordshire. Thank you for joining us, and thanks as always to our sponsors, Empowered. We have another fun-packed show lined up this morning where we will be discussing not just the market, but looking at tricky cases, some tricks of the trade and various other things. Before that, what has been going on? Well, inflation recently shot up to 2.3%, meaning there's two hopes of a December rate cut, and one of those hopes is called Bob. The public finances are in tatters after the government borrowed 17.4 billion in October, 1.6 billion more than in October last year, the second highest October borrowing since monthly records began in 1993 when Meatloaf last topped the charts. The seasonally adjusted S&P Global UK PMI Composite Output Index, bloody hell, that's a mouthful, fell to 49.9 in November, dropping below the 50 no change level for the first time. In short, the private sector is imploding in the aftermath of the Labour budget. Retail sales are falling. You've got the energy price cap, which will pummel the public's disposable income even further from January as a result of volatile international energy markets due to the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. And also, just to cap it off, Vladimir Putin signed a decree that reduced the threshold for his country to use nuclear weapons. And we have Trump coming. What could possibly go wrong? Meanwhile, the Chancellor is under pressure with her questionable CV, and 2 million people have signed a petition saying they want a general election. What's the point? What is the alternative? Let them get on with it. Meanwhile, rates are up and down. Barclays have today announced that they're reducing some rates, and that's the news the market wanted to see. Tomorrow marks a month since the budget, and it's been a tough one. But hopefully, news of rate decreases will give borrowers a lift, and fingers crossed it's the beginning of rates moving back in the right direction. But enough with my bullshit. Let's hear from people who really matter. Today's luxurious panel of experts. We are joined by Kim McGinley, the Managing Director of Vibe Finance. Hello.
Hi.
Mike Statten, the Director of Statten Mortgage and Protection Specialist. Hello, Mike.
Hello, mate.
And Joe Pocklington, the Managing Director of Purple Bricks Mortgages. Hello,
Good
Joe.
Good morning.
So, welcome, everyone. Let's start by just seeing how things are feeling in the market post-budget and coming to the end of the year. How are you finding things? What are your clients seeing? Are you seeing them still waiting to see what happens until the new year, or are they out looking for bargains? Kim, kick us off.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a funny old time. We were so slammed and busy in September and October. November, it has gone a bit quieter, and I don't know if it's down to post-budget, post-US election, and also the Christmas slowdown. I'm not quite sure, but we're being in the specialist market. I mean, yes, we've got clients that are sitting and waiting on rates to come down more. So they're waiting for that bank base rate in December. Whether that happens or not, it's not looking likely. But yeah, things are still moving. So clients are still buying. It's just really chalk and cheese at the minute. Can't quite put my finger on it, not going to lie.
Yeah. Mike, What about you?
Yeah, pretty similar. So mainly in the residential sector, but we're seeing people push as close to their SVR cut-off date as possible to see if they can get a cheaper rate. I'm doubtful that we'll see a rate reduction on the 19th of December. I do think we'll see one on the 6th of Feb. But
go on, Mike. That's what I like. Bullish.
There we go. Yeah, that's it. I think the swap rates are starting to relax. And I don't think it was as big as a hand grenade as everybody made it out to be with the budget. I do think people are coming to the realization of that as well. And there was a lot of hype about the economy going into tatters, and again, it just hasn't come to fruition. So inflation, it went up to 2.3, but it was forecasting up to 2.2. So is it really as big a deal as we're all making, as we've all made it out to be? I don't think so. We're coming up to the Christmas period. Spending is going to go up. The energy price cap was always going to go up compared to this time last year. So I don't think it is as doom and gloom as people say. I was at HSBC last month, helping them talk about new first-time buyer products.
Yeah.
Speaking to one of the economists there, he before the budget was announced, he said he expects a standstill on the base rate in December, but then he expects every 6 weeks after that 0.25% reduction until he thinks we'll be at 2.75 in November. And I sort of agree with him. I don't know if we'll go down as far to 2.75, but I do think next year, 2025 is going to be a massive, massive year for the mortgage industry. I think banks are going to make a killing of all these people that, without advice, signed up for 5-year fix on 6%, and can't wait to see their faces when they see the early repayment charge to get down to a realistic rate. But I do think people are waiting, but I also do think that I'm just as busy as I have ever been, and I think next year, I think it's going to be a bright year.
There you go. Look, positive. Love that, Mike. And yeah, interestingly, speaking to some of the lenders, they do seem, the presentations I've seen, they do seem pretty bullish about the new year and what's going to happen. So, what about you guys, Joe? How are you seeing it? Because you're obviously seeing the market from the estate agents as well coming in.
Yeah, I think it's been a funny couple of weeks. Obviously, positive. The Bank of England dropped the rates, and then you get a lot of customers coming in. Particularly, we see a lot of first-time buyers. A lot of customers coming in saying, "Oh, I'm sure rates are cheaper now. I can get a better deal." And you're having to explain that actually, the fixed rates are slightly up, etc., with the swaps. But I share Mike's positivity on 2025. I definitely think it's going to be a better year than 2024. Obviously, we've got the stamp duty. Yes, I know. I'm being extremely positive, Monty. I've got everything crossed. I do genuinely think it's going to be a better year, though, because I think probably similar to lots of other firms, this year's been about talking to as many customers as possible. And we definitely see some pent-up demand in the market. You've had the challenges, obviously, post cost of living crisis, etc., where customers couldn't get onto the ladder, and maybe they've tried to save a little bit more or dipped a little bit more into bank of mum and dad. Obviously, we've got the stamp duty changes coming next year, so I think Q1, hopefully, that pent-up demand will get out. Actively looking. It's great to see one of the big lenders reduce rates. And start to reduce rates. So hopefully that's the sign. Obviously, as Mike's already mentioned, the swaps are down slightly. Yeah. So hopefully, if we can, I think between now and the end of the year, there's definitely deals to be done. But I think it's also about, brokers, checking in with their customer base, the customers that did take out 2, 3, 5-year fixed rates, checking in, seeing how they're doing, and about having good conversations and building up that pipeline of customers who you'll be to help coming into the new year.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I think 2025, how often do we say this at the end of one year? Can't wait to see the back of this year. It's been a tough year. Next year is going to be much better.
We've been saying that since about 2007, though, haven't we?
I know.
You know what, though? I've heard more from other kind of broker friends that I've got that apparently like industry gurus were saying at the end of last year that this year was going to be a tough year, and I'll be honest, I'm glad I was a bit naive to it. I did, because I was kind of positive at the start of the year. I thought it can't be as bad as last year, but it is the sentiment is different for next year, and I'm just praying.
I think 2024 did, if we all do remember, it did play out pretty much as we thought. The only thing that caught us out actually was a really good start in January, Feb, which actually no one expected. And that caught everyone out, and that probably led us into a false sense of security.
I think we've also had a bit of craziness this year, haven't we? I mean, Trump getting back in, a snap general election called. Obviously, the Euros distracted people and stuff. So I think another reason why I'm quite optimistic for 2025 is, regardless of what we all think of the result out in America, but at least there's a bit of stability. It's known. So it might just give everyone a little bit of confidence to get back out viewing. But we're definitely seeing a little bit of pent up demand getting out there, whether they find this side of Christmas or early start of the new year. There's definitely some pent up demand in the market.
I'm not sure the press is actually making enough of the stamp duty change either.
No.
To the first time buyers. So I think come the start of next year, more will be made with that, and there could well be a sudden rush of people looking to do something there.
I think as well, if advisors and brokers are in touch with their customers, it would definitely be something, particularly for first time buyers, worth flagging to them and talking to them about now, just to try and get a little bit of sort of urgency into their house search, because a couple of £1,000 savings, it's a big deal when you're trying to get your foot under the line.
Absolutely. Just a reminder to everyone, we do have comments, so if you have any comments or questions, please ask away, fire them up, and we'll try and make it as interactive as possible. Now, we're sort of looking at today around brokers and cases and what happens when cases are declined, how can we guard against them, etc. And there's several things here which are interesting to cover, but I like, actually, Joe, something you mentioned earlier, I think was good before we came on, was around setting customers up for success, which I love that, and that's why you're the MD of a big mortgage broker. What are your sort of top tips for people so they can make sure that customers get everything ready in the first instance?
I think firstly, in setting up the appointment, it's always a great idea to educate customers as to what would be really helpful to bring along to that appointment. So as a minimum, latest pay slip, latest bank statement, so that you can have a really good conversation on credit commitments, expenditure, outgoings, etc. If you've got first-time buyers who are not sure on their sort of credit status, explaining about downloading a free credit report and bringing that along, so that they can get some really good advice from an advisor. So when I'm talking about setting sort of customers up for success, it's the preparation of the documents, really. Downloading your bank statement so you can have a really good conversation, because how many times have you chatted to a customer and you're thinking on paper this looks like a really easy case, and then if you sort of fail to prepare as a broker as well, and you've submitted and a dip, and then there's actually credit commitments they've forgot to tell you, or actually I remember, I'm rolling back the years here, but I remember doing a dip for a customer, and they told me their income was, I think it was at time, it was about 50k. It wasn't actually, it was like 30k and 20k of bonus, and that was my mistake, because I should have checked that. But it's all those little quirks that you get where to a customer their income's X, but actually it's not, it's broken down. But if you've got the pay slips or the the accounts, etc., you can set the customer up for success and give them, most importantly, a realistic guide on affordability and borrowing before you even step anywhere near a credit score.
Mike, what's you've got a pretty robust approach, haven't you?
Yeah. It's for me, it's look, I've always gone by the phrase "buyers are liars."
I love that.
I think it's something that it's something that's suited. It's something that's done us well. Done me well as a business during my corporate days, and also during the growth of state and mortgages. But we are very strict in how we conduct our appointments. I believe the best way to avoid declines, even though it's not 100% foolproof, is to set the preparation correctly. And going on to what Joe has just said, it's about educating the customers, and not just educating them. It's about setting their expectations. And the average is the underwriter is going to want to look at 3 months pay slips, 3 months bank statements. They're going to check the credit report. So we tell our customers that we want to look at exactly what the underwriter wants to look at, because if we can spot it, look, the underwriters are there to prevent you from getting a mortgage, as far as I'm concerned. Their job is to stop you from getting a mortgage, because they've got the best interest of the lender at heart. And a lot of customers do believe they've got a divine right to get a mortgage. Well, I pay my rent on time, yeah, but those 17 defaults you've got in the background mean you can't afford your rent. So so for me, if a customer isn't willing to provide documents, we won't do the appointment. If we haven't got 3 months pay slips, 3 months bank statements uploaded to our system, or confirmation that they are bringing them in, should it be a face-to-face appointment, we won't conduct the appointment. And for me, that's the way that our business runs. I do believe.
Do you have any kickbacks on that from clients, really?
This year I've had one.
Yeah,
I've had one, and we're in November.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are predominantly regional. We've got a very good reputation in the East Midlands. We've just won Esther's East Midlands Broker of the Year, which sort of cements.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for that. But we have got a good reputation, and I think if people want good advice, they will go that far. If a customer doesn't want to give us the documents, what you've got to remember as well, we're in a heavily regulated industry. I mean, we're on the day after a group of MPs have just accused the FCA of being dishonest, and it's like pot calling kettle black. But we've also got to remember that we work under the FCA, and the FCA say that our first line, we are the first line of defense against mortgage fraud.
Yeah.
And if we're not asking for the correct documents up front, are we doing our due diligence? Are we checking to make sure? Because I've had numerous telephone conversations with customers, and like Joe has said, their income is completely different to what they explain to us. And do you want to waste your time dealing with estimations? And they are unqualified estimations, because a client isn't a qualified financial advisor, mortgage broker. Client will tell you what they think you need to know, or what they want you to know. And for me, if a client refused to send me over the documents, well, then that's refusal of that's refusal to do a reasonable request.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll always have the initial chat with people first, and take some basic details, and then give them sort of estimates of what I think.
But there's a difference between an initial chat and an appointment.
Yeah, and then I say, actually, before I can go any further, or I need this, and this, just to check everything you said. And Kim, what about in your world? Because you skirt from normal resi, and especially the specialist world, which I guess is even more complex, isn't it, in terms of getting the clients ready for.
I think, I mean, we do now is specialist finance, unregulated. So, but the thing for us is that we've always come at this from best practice in mind. So I remember setting up Vibe. I got laughed at because we did suitability letters, and we just do things the right way. So for me, it's all about setting the tone from the beginning. So what Mike and Joe have been saying, I think what really helps, and that's why you've probably not had any pushback, Mike, is because you've set that tone from the beginning, what your expectations are for you to give them the service that you do. And we're similar. For us, it's all about education. In the specialist unreg world, no one case is the same. It just isn't. And it's preparing clients about the whole process, and getting a mortgage from application to completion is not just down to a broker, or not just the lender or the client. It really is a team effort, and it's educating them that if they employ or they appoint a solicitor that is just not up to par to getting their mortgage through, that one decision can have such a massive knock-on impact to what they're looking to do. So for me, it's understanding their goals, educating them at the beginning, and setting the expectations for what we expect as a broker in order to be able to deliver the service that we do. So yeah, if that answers the question.
Yeah, good answer, Kim.
Thanks.
Very good. Well done. You can come again.
Thank you.
So what is then, Kim, from your perspective, what is the biggest issue that you face from getting things right and making sure clients do what it is? Looking at cases, what are the biggest issues you see?
The biggest issues, it's not that we see that we've learned from and what we now implement. So for us in the specialist world, it's understanding the questions that need to be asked right at the outset before any kind of form filling goes on, because one key criteria can just divert that case into a completely different direction. So for me, it's making sure my team are up to date with all the criteria changes to know when that needs to happen as early in the process as possible. So training, ultimately, is staying on top of everything, and it is changing all the time. You guys probably see that, not just rates, criteria is changing. So I think that's probably one of our biggest hurdles at the moment. And also there's a lot of clients shopping around. They're speaking to multiple brokers, and more so in the unreg space that we're in. As you know, a lot of it can be relationship led. We might have a fantastic relationship with a lender that we know will go above and beyond for us. Other brokers might not have that. So it is very speculative at the same time. Not sourcing system. 9 times out of 10, we're not sourcing on like 27 Tech or a sourcing system.
No.
It's all manual. So the attention to detail needs to be spot on, more so now than ever.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest bugbear from, if I look at our Corico commercial on that, and we do reasons why suitability letters as well, always have done. It's almost, for a broker, it's not knowing what you don't know. So it's making sure that you're getting that experience, that you're asking the right questions, especially in that specialist space.
Yeah.
Where those 2 or 3 right questions can change everything, and can be the difference from you actually being able to do a case and placing it or not.
Yeah.
Which is, and that's where a good specialist broker will know what those questions are. And it does surprise me, the number of brokers who actually aren't confident to ask some of those hard questions. And we have someone, Julian, who you know, Kim, he gets under their skin straight away, asks the questions where even I think, I wouldn't have asked that. But he needs to know. It's an interest. It's interesting, but also I really want to know what drives that client in the specialist space. And
it is, I completely agree. And also with the team, it's giving them the confidence to keep going back, keep asking the questions, because some clients will be elusive. And it's teaching them, which they're great at now, of really getting, like you say, we get under the skin straight away just to really get to the bottom of what's going on. Yeah.
And Joe, what are you seeing from your perspective in terms of some of the issues that are coming back on cases? Why are they declining? What are their common themes? What do you tell your guys?
I think we've had a lot of new advisors join us this year who might not have a huge amount of experience. So one of the points Kim made, I totally agree with, and it's about the training and the upskilling. So I think there's some great criteria sources now. Obviously, we've got our own internal criteria source, or a couple of gurus, but it's also looking at things, like the L&G, the criteria banks, etc. Obviously on MAB Tribe, I've just come back from the conference, so I'm going to plug Tribe a little bit, but obviously the mortgage community there and asking questions. But I think it's not just about sort of the customer's personal circumstances. We've probably all been caught out on a couple of quirky properties before. So it's also checking out the property and setting the customer up for success in that. So, when I was advising, which is quite some time ago, you couldn't check on things like Google Maps and stuff to look at the property and see if there was any quirks with the property. Because you can get caught out. The customer might fit from a sort of financial point of view, but then you get into a couple of nuts and bolts on the property, and you get caught on some nuances of criteria. So I think one of the points Kim made about really getting under the skin and asking the right questions. I'd also stress to ask the right questions about the property, making sure you're covering off obviously the usual suspects, the lease, etc., construction, but also just going that sort of a bit above and beyond, either checking the estate agent's particulars or having a quick look online yourself to see if it actually, because customers do sometimes forget to tell you some important stuff, like actually this is above a commercial property or right next door to one that has a massive impact. And because they don't, obviously to them it's just a property to buy, and they don't get the ins and outs of what might impact it. So again, adding value to customers about educating them about properties and things to look out for and things to make sure they're telling you before you put that application in, so that you might have checked all of the customer financially meets the criteria, but does the property meet the criteria as well? Because otherwise that can cause you to get a few declines.
And yeah, Mike, there's an interesting point there around checking online. Is that something you guys do in terms of check Google your customer, or certainly have a look on LinkedIn, see where they are, check there's the property definitely, but also the customer themselves? Well,
we'll always have a little nosy on LinkedIn and Facebook. It's just something that we've got into a habit of doing. 9 times out, 90% of our leads come from social media. So it's a really, really simple check. I mean, our leads are self-generated. As with Purple Bricks, we're part of the MAB. So we have strict criteria checks, which, you can say strict or you can say good. I like them. I like how strict it is. Because it keeps us in check. But one of those things is, we always check our customers, and because the majority of the leads that do come from social media, we'll get the lead come through anyway through a message, and we just click on the name, and we can check out who they are anyway. From a broker perspective, there are plenty of tools out there as well to make sure that you minimize the risk of decline. For instance, I'm using a new tool called Sprift.
I was just about to mention, have you come across Sprift?
Yeah, I might ring him and ask him if I can get a plug-in now and get some commission off him for it.
We use it all the time.
Do you? And does it work? That's interesting, because I had a presentation on it last week, and it's working for you both. Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's a great sales tool as well, because for every client that comes into us, they're getting a property report, and it might not seem a lot to us because we deal with it every day, but to that customer, that property report they cherish it. It gets put in a folder and they keep it for the rest of their lives. Well, I don't know. Maybe for the rest of their lives is a bit. Seeing as Sprift's only been on 2 years. But...
Hey, I've still got mine from when I bought the place. You just keep that stuff, don't you?
But you're going to get asked several questions on a mortgage application: when the house was built, what council band tax in it is, the council tax band in it is. Sorry, it gives you the correct information, what's on land registry, and a lot of these lenders, I can remember sitting down with Santander, and they like to do auto valuations on properties. And the BDM was telling me that if the information on that property that you key is as accurate to land registry as possible, there's a higher chance it'd go to an auto val, which in turn speeds up the process for the customer. So these little extra systems, some people look at it as an additional cost, but it's an additional benefit to your business, and it's something. Go back to what Kim was saying about building up a relationship. These customers are going to see 3 or 4 of the brokers, and you're the only broker giving them a report on the property that they're looking at. Then you're one step ahead of them already. You're going above and beyond. It's not something you have to do. The new system that we're using at MAB I'm a big fan of it, platform, and it walks the customer through the process for you as well. So as soon as they booked an appointment, they've got this link, they've got a mortgage, potentially a mortgage passport. We can do them a one-click dip. Just everything is set up in our business to avoid declines. Now, it's not foolproof. I had a decline at the end of last month, and it was down to a customer missing two payments on their current mortgage. Now they didn't show up on their credit report, but you've got to remember when you're looking at credit reports, there's 3 different credit reports, and sometimes things don't show up on one when they show up on another.
Yeah, that's right. Just to answer Samantha's question, it was Sprift, SPRIFT, and well, Joan might use it, and I had a little demo of it, and it looks really good.
Is it more for the reg space, or I've not heard of it?
No, it's as Mike said, you give your customers, so if they're actively viewing a property or they're going on a second viewing, you can offer them we offer them a Sprift report, and it details like EPC, local schools, shows some photographs of the property. It really, really good, and customers absolutely love it. And it does, as Mike said, it adds a lot of value.
More beneficial for those that are going to be residing in the properties rather than investors, then, you think?
No, I personally, I think it's beneficial to anybody potentially looking at buying the property. It gives quite a lot of information, and customers love it.
One of my limited company buy-to-let clients, they love the report because they actually use that report to advertise it to tenants that are going to go in. So look, you've got link, because it gives you links to schools, link transport links, tells you the Ofsted rating of the schools that are there as well. We get someone in Sprift here because I think we need to get a kickback for this.
Well, I think we do. I'm gonna send them an email afterwards. I've got a meeting with them again next week. So yeah, I'll take all the glory, Mike. Don't worry.
No, that's fine.
I'll send you a few quid. Although I have just had to reset my password. So yeah, no, that's really interesting. And those tech tools are really good. While we're on it, is there any other tech things you want to shout out? Anyone that you've used that help you?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Yeah. Do you use that a lot now?
I use it a lot for just not even personal life as well as work.
Are you actually real? Is this like an AI hologram of you?
Yeah, it's not actually me.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Honestly,
I know we're going off topic. Yeah. So I spent about an hour on ChatGPT yesterday and uploaded all my articles to it so it could talk more accurately in my voice. So it is quite interesting. I do still write everything myself at the moment, so before everyone goes, oh, it's not really you, but it's great for generating ideas and for helping different things. Chloe, is it free to use? No, it's not free to use. Sprift, you will have to pay for it. Sorry, Mike, go on.
Yeah, there's another tool I use as well called Minutes.
All right, I'm learning stuff. I love this. Go on, Minutes.
It's a great app. It turns your mobile phone into a dictaphone, but it's got AI built into it. So it will. The whole conversation is completely recorded, and it's so accurate as well. It's unbelievable. You have got to be careful because whilst I was in the HSBC meeting, I was sat next to somebody who doesn't like HSBC, and it overheard his little conversation with me as well. He stuck it in there about how HSBC's first opinion of first-time buyers are doctors. So that got thrown into the minutes, but you can then generate bullet points via AI on the app,
and that's a phone app.
Yeah, and I think it's about £99 for the year, but it is unbelievable because any appointment that you do, you can get it dictated, you can get it broken down into bullet point with AI, and there has been the odd time where I forgot the customer had said that, but you can just easily upload all of those notes to your system, and you've got a documented conversation.
I guess that's good for meetings as well, right? Internal meetings.
Yeah, really good. But also, it's called Minutes. Yeah, and I mean even BDM. Yeah, even if you've got a BDM coming in and you're using your minutes for your CPD, you upload that to your CPD. You just record it all, print it out, put it in your CPD log, whatever, and it's just a great tool. And look, these tools aren't free, but well, you get what you get back what you put in. And
Yeah.
if I would say if a mortgage advisor is not wanting to use the likes of Sprift because of that, or ChatGPT, you can pay and get a better functionality out of ChatGPT, and also with this Minutes as well. If you're not willing to pay for these additional benefits, then what makes you stand out as a mortgage advisor? Because there, post-COVID, there's a lot of COVID brokers out there that I think jumped on the bandwagon because they thought it was, yes, this is easy money, and now the industry is getting harder and harder, and clients are getting more demanded and more demanded. If you are not making yourself stand out as a mortgage advisor in a very overcrowded industry, I don't think you'll last long.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. There you go. It's a little tech detour. Love that. I love it when I learn stuff. So from a let's turn the coin then. Lenders, what can they be getting? I'll say that again. What can they be doing better to help, especially with things like when a case declines, or to overturn a decline, or what would you like to see more from lenders? What are they doing well and what are they doing badly, Kim?
What are they doing well and what are they doing badly? I think it's lender to lender. It's so different. Communication is obviously one of the biggest ones. I'm always like one of my biggest sayings is, like, deliver. If it's bad news, you always try to call before you send an email. We still get lenders that hide behind emails, unfortunately, and quite clearly where there's back and forth, that a quick conversation would just literally solve the issue or resolve it. We're still seeing a lot of back and forth. Lender timescales are kind of slipping again with some lenders, and that's not being communicated as great. And also with these lender rate pools, I think we've come a long way with lenders giving some form of notice. But there have definitely been in recent weeks lenders there's one lender in particular, unfortunately, I'm not going to name and shame, but we lost 2 cases with a client because we rushed to get it in to meet the deadline, and they withdrew it before the deadline because they were overwhelmed with business. It's very, very tough. I mean, we had to refund both fees because we obviously said to them we needed to get the cases submitted. Yeah. When you're losing clients, especially in this current market, having done work up front, it's quite a hard pill to swallow. And there wasn't really any kind of apology for that. It was just, we're inundated, that's the way it is, swallow it. So yeah. That was a bit shit.
Lenders, I don't like that. I'm sorry. I know we do, and as brokers, we do understand difficulties. We really do, and we do understand pricing, and we do understand that the challenges, but it doesn't take much to honour something if you've got a particular deadline. Anyway, Joe, what about from your perspective?
I think for me, a good BDM, as everybody will know, is worth their weight in gold. So I think for me, when I talk about setting customers up for success, I think BDMs can set brokers up for success. So one of the things I quite like about some of the lenders, like we've just recently had HSBC come and do a presentation to us all about the economic climate, and I love all of that stuff. I'm a bit nerdy like that. But it helps brokers in their conversations with customers to explain why, yes, the base rates come down, but rates have gone up slightly, etc. So, where a lender can share stuff that's going to help a broker with a conversation, that's absolutely worth its weight in gold at the minute. We've got some lenders who, for example, fairly newish to the market, and we've asked them to share sort of some case studies of, obviously not without sharing the customer's personal information, but case studies of where they've been able to help, so that it brings that criteria to life. I think that's, again, worth its weight in gold. Kim's point about, if an application is going to decline, if they pick up the phone and explain it so that you've got a bit of a better understanding as to why, and then obviously the conversation you can have with the customer is massively helpful. And I guess as a plea to lenders, we're seeing obviously more and more lenders now, bring their PT rate back down to 4 month. It would be great to just have either a 4 month or a 6 month across the board, rather than this mismatch, because it does make, obviously, when you're trying to help customers in refinancing, The longer it is and the different timeframes, it just makes that job a lot more difficult, particularly where we're having to switch rates quite a lot for customers to make sure they get the best outcome. And as we all know, PTs don't pay as much as a remortgage. There's a lot of work goes into it. So having a standard window would be really helpful, Monty.
I quite like the 4-month window.
Yes, yeah.
Rather than 6 months.
Yeah, but just let's just have either 4 or 6 rather than some 4, some 6, some 3.
Mike?
I mean, I think it's Empowered that do it, and they will tell you if you get a decline because of credit, Empowered will tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Other lenders won't, and I've never got my head around that because they claim it's back in the day they claimed it was a breach of data protection. Now they claim it's a breach of GDPR, but I've provided you all of their details. Tell me why you're declining it, because that will help you move on to the next lender and provide a smoother journey.
Yeah, and it helps the client.
It does.
Because how many times you go back to the client, well, I don't know. And they're annoyed with you because you don't know and because the lender's not telling you. So it doesn't, I agree with you. I think they're hiding behind
I don't understand the breach of GDPR that excuse that they use, because I've passed them all the data that they hold on the client anyway.
You clearly have authority from the customer.
Yeah, and I think there was another one as well, and it sort of ties in with how Kim has just spent. Now, it wasn't a decline, but again, I won't name the lender, but I had a client whose mortgage offer had been accepted. His mortgage offer had been issued. We got to 3 days before completion. It was a remortgage, by the way, so he was going to end up on his SVR if he didn't complete. This lender came back to me and said, we've had an issue with our systems. Our systems have gone down. Your client's case has been corrupted. You need to rekey the application again. Now, I was on holiday at the time. I was like, well, how can I rekey that application? They said that they could see it. They could see the whole application, but if they clicked on a certain button to complete, it would just wipe everything. So my argument was, well, look, you can see all the client's details, copy the case over again while I'm on holiday. What I had to do, I had to pass it over to another broker because I was on holiday, didn't have my computer with me, so I lost the prop fee on that. The client got the correct end result, but from a broker's perspective, because I was cheeky enough to turn around to the broker and say, well, are you going to pay to the lender and say, are you going to pay me 2 prop fees on this? Because in essence, I've done. Oh no. I was like, right. So you basically think my time is worth 0 then? Because I think lenders need to hold their hands up a little bit more and take more responsibility when they have internal errors that aren't the broker's fault, where it is purely down to theirs. And if they can rectify it themselves, they shouldn't expect a broker just to fix their mistakes.
Yeah, I think you might have been a bit unlucky there with that. I've had similar things happen with a couple of other lenders, and they have said, don't worry, we'll rekey it ourselves, we'll find a way of doing it, and they've sat and rekeyed it. So I guess it is from lender to lender. I think the biggest bugbear from all of us is around communication, isn't it? It's all about clear communication. If something's wrong with the case, fine, let us know quickly, let us know exactly what it is, and we can go away and fix it. And then at least be prepared to have a proper conversation about it. And that's what's really important. So a classic example obviously is valuations and down valuations. And actually I don't think we've done one of these on the whole valuation process and getting a valuer on. That would be really interesting. But if having somewhere to properly challenge a valuation or discuss it properly would be a good idea. Some lenders do it well, some they just won't even entertain it. So I guess that's one of the things. I'm interested to know how all of your teams are doing in terms of this, because doing business, I mean, Kim, as you said, it's been a tough year, it's been a tough couple of years, and doing business at the moment and then facing decline cases or decisions that you don't agree with, how are all your team doing, and how do you keep everyone positive and motivated? Joe?
So we're fully remote, so we've got the additional challenge of not having everyone together in an office space. So we do like a monthly town hall where we'll share like sort of success stories, review what's happened, give some market talk, etc. We do like a monthly coffee and question session where the guys can come on and ask me anything. We do listening groups. We've got like a sort of a intranet site where we're celebrating success and put things up. But it is challenging to keep everybody like fully engaged, particularly when you're not always together. We do try and get together at least once a quarter on a sort of in-person face-to-face. Obviously, we took quite a few of the teams out to the MAB conference on Friday. But I think a lot of it is just about being present for your teams. It has and recognising it has been challenging. And people at different stages in sort of, either new to the industry and learning all of these things, and maybe they don't know any different, or they've been around the block a bit like myself and have seen sort of highs and lows and know that actually the mortgage market is quite cyclical. And at some point we'll hit a good run, which will definitely be 2025. But it's just, again, talking, the point you made about lenders, communication, it's the same for us in the broker space. But I think reaching out, encouraging a safe space to chat and tell people how they're feeling, and using the tools that, around you, the mentor schemes, etc., to learn not just internally but externally as well.
Kim, I know you've you're a bit like me. You're very open about yourself and looking at some of your posts. How do you keep everyone? How do you keep the vibe going at Vibe?
If I'm honest, it really is open, honest communication with the team, so that no matter how we're all feeling, we're quite fortunate as a small team with the team that I've got. It is still positive. I know it has been stressful. I'm not going to lie. It has been very stressful. It hasn't been a fun year for everyone. But for me, it's reinforcing as a leader, the vision, the goal, working through it and where we're going to go to. So I think it's reinforcing that and empathizing with them, just being honest, saying that I recognize all the struggles and the pressures, and just trying to keep them motivated as much as possible. I'm quite fortunate with the team I've got, but and they keep me motivated as well, because there's times that I rock up at the office, when I have to walk in and put my leader face on, but they keep me going too. So I just think like exactly what Joe said, just regular meetings, talks, chats, and just knowing that hopefully, I don't want to say the end is in sight, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's just been a long tunnel this year.
It's been a long tunnel since about 2016, I think.
Exactly.
Mike, what about for you?
Similar position to Kim. We're a relatively small team with 5 advisors, regular meetings. So we have a monthly best practice meeting where we go through figures. We have a weekly get together where we go through difficult cases. We took that idea from is it Melton? I can't remember we just sit down around a table and any difficult case anybody's got, there's 5 advisors there and we help each other out. And that meeting takes about an hour to an hour and a half. But I think the big thing is, from a broker point of view, we've not had an episode of sickness in 4 years, which we've only got 5 advisors. That's great, but I think it's all about being flexible. Look, my door's open. I'm approachable. I'm not just the director of State and Mortgages. I don't like to call myself the director of State and Mortgages. I'm a mortgage advisor. and I'm on that level with all of the other advisors. Every single advisor we've got is a six-figure writer. So we're in a great position. They know we've got a great lead source, and they also get free admin. I don't charge any of my advisors for admin, and it makes them more productive. They're happy, they're productive. It's the way it should. It's the way it should be.
Well, very good. Thank you. I think we're running out of time, actually. So, Mike, we're not going to have a chance to talk about social media gurus and stuff like that.
Thank God for that.
Maybe you'll have to do like a soliloquy as like, Mike's rant.
I'll stick a post on LinkedIn later.
Yeah, do that. So right, there you go then. We've covered a lot. So final words of wisdom to brokers or lenders or anyone that you might be watching. Joe.
Ooh, put me on the spot there. I think the best thing advisors can do between now and the end of the year is just speak to as many customers as possible. So whether they're actively looking now, you've helped them out in the past, review protection options, etc. Just speak to as many people as possible, because I do genuinely think 2025 is going to be a better year, and you want to have as many customers to talk to as possible between now and then, so that you get a good start to 2025.
Mike?
Keep the faith, I guess, is my overall.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Yeah.
Mike?
Short and sweet. Buyers are liars. Over to Kim.
Love that. Kim?
I would say, look, we've all said that this year's been a tough, weird year. I think there's still definitely takeaways to remember from this year, and there has been good stuff that's been happening. So I think reflecting is a must, and looking forward to next year and putting plans in place, like Joe said, Christmas slowdown. What can you still be doing to making sure that you're starting January and 2025 in the best position possible, whether it's posting on social media like me and Mike do, or things like that. I think just dream big, and next year, let's do it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We are out of time. Thank you very much to our guests, Kim, Mike, and Joe. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned something. I shall be looking at minutes, I think it was, and everyone will be checking out Sprift. So there you go. Well, hopefully there's some commission coming. We do usually shout out a star broker of the week, but I haven't got one this week. So I know there are star brokers out there. In fact, I know every single one of you is a star. So you can all pat yourselves on the back, because 2024, like 2023, has been a tough year, and you've all done bloody well looking after your clients and going that extra mile, as I know so many of you do. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. There always is. We're a positive bunch. Now, remember, we are bi-weekly, so we're not here next week, but back the week after. I don't know where the year's going, so I don't know when we're back. But you can listen to all of these on Spotify, and do remember to check out news page. And that's about it. If you've enjoyed it, I've been Andrew Montlake. If you haven't enjoyed it, I've been Rachel Reeves. Have a good week.